Paranormal investigators are frequent visitors to the Great Lakes state of Michigan. It's the home of many witnessed ghosts who reflect its complex history. Here are some of the eerie phenomena. South Manitou Island. According to locals, at least 2 of the park rangers staying on South Manitou Island have been tormented by its hauntings and demanded their removal from the site. 16 miles offshore from the Leelanau Peninsula, and with 300-foot sand dunes and a deserted shoreline, the eerie island has at times frightened visitors. One legend tells that in the late 1800s, a ship dropped off more than 20 cholera-stricken passengers, some having already succumbed and others very unwell. The captain and crew left them behind for local residents to deal with the problem. Having little choice, the islanders simply dug a mass grave and buried the sufferers, both dead and alive, in order to save their own lives. Soon after, the first reports of ghosts and hauntings began. Another hotspot, the Manitou Passage Crossing, is considered the deadliest area of Lake Michigan and was the scene of at least 50 shipwrecks in the late 1800s steamship era. Some scuba divers have claimed to hear tortured cries while diving off shipwrecks. One local figure is a lady ghost who is seen bearing a lantern pacing along the beach near the dock at night. She is thought to have been either married or engaged to an islander who one day set sail for the mainland but never returned. Every evening she would don her finest dress and walk down to the dock to await his return. As years went by, she continued her hopeful nightly watch as regular as clockwork into old age, until one day she was found deceased on the beach. Eerily, after her passing, the locals continued to see her ghost waiting at the dock and pacing the beach, just as she had done during her lifetime. Calumet Theatre. The Opera House in Calumet is reportedly one of Upper Michigan's most notorious haunted spots. The theatre dates back to 1900 and soon became a favourite of many film stars who travel to Upper Michigan to attend live shows and plays. It has hosted many famous performers, including Douglas Fairbanks Sr., Lillian Russell and Sarah Bernhardt. A spirit that lingers permanently there is said to be the ghost of renowned Shakespearean actress Madame Helena Modjeska. Her ghost was first spotted around 1958 when she helped actress Adissa Lane, who was performing on stage. Adissa forgot her lines and happened to glance up into the balcony. There, she said, she saw the distinctive figure of Madame Helena, who began mouthing the lines to her. Adissa was able to finish the play, thanks to the help from Madame Helena's apparition. Since then, patrons and employees have reported seeing the spectre of Madame Helena roaming the theatre, feeling cold spots and unexplained breezes, and hearing music that comes out of nowhere. There are other roaming apparitions. A man who met with foul play in the theatre in 1903 is spotted from time to time and heard screaming in the middle of the night, as well as a small girl called Alanda Rowe who died mysteriously there. The Opera House also felt the repercussions of a mass tragedy in 1913. The historic Italian hall disaster occurred on Christmas Eve, when the nearby hall was packed with families and many small children celebrating the Christmas Eve party. Gifts, food and entertainment were in abundance when an unknown man, probably inebriated, shouted, "Fire!" This set off a panic as the hundreds of people who were in attendance rushed to the only exit staircase available. The frenzied crowding led to many people tripping, falling, suffocating and being crushed. By the time the panic had subsided, the death toll was 73, with most casualties being children. There was no fire and the prankster was never caught. Those who perished were transported a block away to the Opera House, now the oldest section of the Calumet Theatre. To this day, some hear the spirits of the deceased children laughing, playing, and also screaming for help. River Raisin Battlefield Park. The River Raisin Battlefield Park is located at the scene of a tragic conflict during the War of 1812. What became known as the Massacre of the River RAISIN was the deadliest battle of the war and saw over 500 American soldiers perish on this spot in Michigan. As recently as the year 2000, scattered human remains were still found in the area, but for many years before it became a park, paranormal teams have held investigations there. They have often used objects of the time, like music and other items, to encourage spirits to appear or communicate. Some have claimed to photograph ghostly figures in military attire on the field, in doorways and windows, while others have heard and recorded cries of pain and distress on the field. Ghost hunters have revealed pictures of apparitions and EVPs of ghostly voices which support their sightings. Everyday visitors to the park also report observing orbs, nighttime glowing lights, and apparitions of soldiers, with some capturing ghostly voices on tape. The many eyewitness accounts include sightings of a young woman wearing a flowing white dress, wandering through the battlefields, perhaps in search of a lost love who perished in the conflict. Mackinac Island. The island has been described as essentially a huge Native American burial ground where a military fort was established and a lot of people perished. One account describes an evil entity which manifests as a black mass with glowing red eyes. A maintenance worker on the hotel's theatre stage claimed that the black mass raced after him, striking him off his feet. He regained consciousness 2 days later, but never returned. Staff have claimed to see a man in a top hat playing on the bar's piano, while others have reported a woman in Victorian clothing who walks the hotel halls and even gets into beds. The drowning pool was a sinister location where 7 women lost their lives. During the 1700s and early 1800s, 7 women living locally were accused of being witches. One method of proving or disproving this claim was to tie rocks to the woman's feet and throw her into the water to see if she would float or not. If she sank, she was deemed innocent. The 7 accused women were cast into a lagoon on the island and all sank and drowned. Local legend has the women haunting the pool to this day, with visitors reporting mysterious splashing and seeing shadows and dark figures hovering above the surface. The Revolutionary War era Fort Mackinac has tourists reporting strange orbs in their photos. In the hospital, some experience feelings of sadness and witness apparitions of phantom limbs. Add to this the eerie sound of crying babies, mysteriously moved furniture, and motion detectors set off with no one in sight. At the officers' stone quarters, the spirits of children are said to be playing with toys at night and leave them thrown around on the floor in the morning. Paranormal investigators have also recorded evidence at Mission Point Resort. Since its beginning in 1827, the area has housed a missionary school and later Mackinac College. Now a luxury resort, tales of its hauntings continue based on evidence recorded throughout the site. Todd Clements, author of Haunts of Mackinac, believes that a common thread for the otherworldly phenomena seems to be a young college student who back in the 1970s reportedly took his own life. Referring to him as Harvey, Clements suspects his passing may have been more sinister than the official verdict. Judging by the investigators' findings, Harvey is only one of many presences who haunt the resort. Investigation of the ruins of historic fort homes also brought results which surprised the ghost hunters. Rather than evidence of soldiers stationed there, they instead captured disembodied voices speaking the indigenous Ojibwa language. ELOISE Psychiatric Hospital. At its peak in the 1920s, the ELOISE Hospital complex was a small city, with its medical facility and mental asylum accommodating 10,000 patients and 2,000 staff. Visitors have experienced odd occurrences on the hospital grounds for years after it closed down in the 80s. These include moaning, screams and roaring throughout the old grounds. Some wonder if they are the restless souls of distressed patients. Paranormal investigators have conducted many studies around the huge property. A group recently reported seeing the spirit of a woman wearing white, usually spotted on the upper floors and roof. The old Eloise graveyard is also known to be haunted. An article in The Guardian featured Eloise, where a building employee recalled a strange incident. 2 children had climbed up a nearby staircase, only to turn around and report that a man wearing Bermuda shorts was sitting on the steps behind them. Other shadowy figures are seen, and filming by news channel Click on Detroit revealed orbs floating along the old corridors. A photographic expert they consulted said that technical glitches such as lens flare did not explain the phenomena, as one was seen half covered by a doorway. EVP recordings made by Detroit Paranormal Expeditions often later reveal sounds and messages that are not heard in the moment by the investigators.